Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. Oh, the internet. Oh my God, over the last 20 years, the internet has taken over our lives. It's had such a massive impact on the way we behave. I mean, both positive and negative, but the one negative that really bugs me, especially on YouTube, is this increasing need for attention. Attention is now the currency of choice. Everyone is loud and brash, and dignity is sacrificed just under the god of just give me attention. It drives me nuts because the problem is the people that really drive our lives are people that just show up to work every single day and do their jobs with quiet dignity. There's not flash or brash. They just do their jobs. And so do the fragrances I'm talking about today. They're more versatile. They're not flashy. They're not in your face. They're just really good. Fragrance number one is Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, and this might come as a surprise to a lot of people because Tom Ford is not known for versatile fragrances that are relatively shy. Think of something like Ombre Leather, for instance. This is a heavy leather scent with a fair amount of amber in the background. This is an eau de parfum. It's about 10 to 12 hours longevity, a ton of projection. Now this, on the other hand, Ombre Leather is an eau de toilette. The leather is there, but it's definitely toned down quite a bit. There's a lot of cardamom and ginger, so there's a spicy quality to it. This is about 6 hours, not 10. So it's definitely a quieter fragrance overall, and even the vanilla. Because this does have a vanilla note, the much talked about vanilla note in this fragrance. Here's the problem with that. These fragrance encyclopedias will put all these notes, but what they don't tell you is just how much of the note they're using. I've done a lot of research on this. They were using a tincture of vanilla for this fragrance, and my experience backs that up. There's not a ton of vanilla. There's just a hint of it. And so you mix that with the spices and then the toned down leather, and you've got something very different, much more, I think, versatile for sure, and just goes in a different direction. It's a lot spicier than the original. So yeah, I think this is a more versatile fragrance. Personally, I think this is a lot better fragrance. And for those of you that compare this to Baby Cat is a sweet, syrupy leather vanilla fragrance with a ton of vanilla. There's no way you can compare it to this. This is not an in-your-face fragrance like Ombre Leather or Baby Cat. Much more toned down, much more versatile. Fragrance number two is the Envy of FOMO from the House of FOMO. And FOMO is a house from Dubai that came out in 2023, and they're cloning fragrances that other people are not cloning. This is a clone of Gucci Envy. Now, Gucci Envy was an all-time classic. It came out in 1998, and if you're not aware, Tom Ford was a creative director at Gucci back then. And the reason Tom Ford has his own brand is the guy did not make mistakes. Everything he produced was phenomenal, including Gucci Envy. If you look at the price of it online, it's discontinued for a while, but it is crazy expensive because it's a classic. Another great thing about Tom Ford is the fact that he's always ahead of his time, right? He's always pushing the envelope. And so this came out in 1998. You would think it's old school, but this was much darker and denser than what they were getting out then. It was also a lot more modern. So this is not going to smell as old-fashioned as you might expect. In fact, if you like woody fragrances, modern woody fragrances, you will love this because it's a woody, warm, spicy fragrance with pepper and cloves. There's a little hint of vanilla. The woods here are sandalwood, cedar, and patchouli, but I get sandalwood a lot more. And basically, Gucci Envy was a sandalwood spicy fragrance. This really captures it beautifully if you like the House of Prada. And one thing that people need to realize is there are certain houses that really are not really houses. They're associated entirely almost with perfumers, and Prada is one of them. Daniela Andrier, the vast majority, if anything's got Prada and in the name, she made it. She was the perfumer of this. If you like Prada L'Homme or Amber Pour Homme or just about anything from Prada, that smooth, classy vibe, she made the original Gucci Envy, and this is a great clone, and I'm so glad I got this. This is Hugo Boss Bottle Absolute, and this was the fragrance of the year for Fragrantica for 2025. However, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is an attention-seeking fragrance. This is 10 to 12 hours. This is a ton of projection. It's very dark and very heavy and very dense. But yeah, it's kind of a just look at me kind of fragrance. It's very, very strong. I think for the purposes of this video and for my personal preference, I much prefer Boss Bottle Absolute, which is more versatile. It is easier to wear, and I think you can wear it in the spring, whereas Absolute, you're going to have a really hard time doing it. I think more mature men are going to prefer this because it's not so loud. It's not as loud as Absolute. And this is an iconic fragrance in its own right, because when fragrance houses take anniversaries really seriously, they always go all out. And this was created in 2023 as the 25th anniversary of the release of the original Boss bottle that came out in 1998 and currently is selling a bottle every 4 seconds. So that's an iconic fragrance, but this was to signal a new direction. They moved it a little bit sweet, well, a lot sweeter, but in this case, not as sweet as Absolute. And what I love about this is the frankincense, right? It gives some fresh resins. There's also some labdanum in there. There's also some cardamom and a lot of woods, but it's the freshness of the frankincense that really stands out. It makes it more versatile. You can wear it in the spring. I just love it because it's not so in your face. If Prada L'Homme was a suit, Prada L'Homme Low would be a lighter fabric with a lighter color to wear in the summer, and that is exactly what they have done here. I love Prada L'Homme, and I got this summer, and I wore this more in the summer than I've ever worn a single fragrance in a single season because I love Prada L'Homme so much, but it was kind of heavy. This is absolutely perfect. It definitely embodies Prada L'Homme and just a lighter version. The notes are slightly similar. For instance, this has ginger, not violet. The amber here is toned down quite a bit. There's still plenty of iris, but yeah, it's like a more summer appropriate version of Prada L'Homme. I think this one works really well in summer in particular. I think Prada L'Homme is a fairly versatile fragrance, but in the summer and in the spring, this is absolutely perfect. And again, the Prada L'Homme DNA, it doesn't scream, look at me. It screams, or doesn't scream at all. It just says, I'm classy, I'm well-dressed, I'm sophisticated, and I think that's enough. Fragrance number 5 is Eau de Beau by L'Occitane en Provence. This is a 2006 fragrance by Karine de Broy-Serini. She's not a perfumer we hear a whole lot about, but the Gentleman's Society line, the template for that line came from her. She made Gucci pour Homme 2, which is a real classic, an all-time classic. The Ombre Noir fragrance for Lalique, she did that. And she did this in 2006, and this was way ahead of its time. It fits, it's not the same, but it fits the template of things like Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Le Parfum, Dior Homme Parfum 2025, Code Parfum, like the recent Code Parfum. It's right in there, and yet this came out in 2006. So it's got a different note breakdown. It's got an aromatic quality with a cypress note, but it's got a sweet warmth to it. A very solid performance. It is a fairly inexpensive fragrance, so there's a hint more of like plasticky synthetic, but just a hint. Like it's still a really good fragrance. I don't know how they can make such a good fragrance at such a price, but they really do. They really do cut back on extras. This is the most pathetic cap I've ever seen. It's just like this tiny little light piece of plastic, but the atomizer's great. Again, the box is nothing to write home about. The bottle's pretty standard, but the fragrance itself is really good. If you're looking for a good cheapie that fits the vein of, the fragrances I mentioned before that are really popular, yeah, look up Eau de Beau. Fragrance number 6 is Versace pour Homme, and this is a fragrance I don't talk about much, but that's because I'm not a huge fan of summer fragrances. But when it comes to summer fragrances, this one is almost impossible to beat. It's very similar to Allure Homme Sport, a fragrance that's like 6 or 7 times what this is worth. This was an Alberto Maria's creation. It's got 4 separate components, even though it just smells like a freshie. It's got a lot more to it than that. It's got lemon and bergamot, 4 floral notes. They're kind of a creamy feel. It's hard to pick up, but if you really pay attention, you can get the creaminess. There's a musky element, and then you're going to get a little bit of tonka and amber in the base. 4 components go together to a really nice, solid, fresh fragrance you can wear in the $50 range. I think at the moment at the discounters, this is like $53 or something like that. It's just a really good, versatile fragrance. The great thing about Freshies, you can wear them all season. But yeah, spring and summer, I mean, this is a great bottle to have. Just a great everyday, versatile fragrance. Fragrance number 7, this is Calvin Klein's Eternity, one of the very best citrus aromatics of all time. Now, how can I say that about Eternity? Well, this came out in 1990, and I've mentioned this before, but not recently. This fragrance and its sister fragrance, the female one, were responsible for saving not just the fragrance line, but the entire house. That's how many gift boxes they sold at the Christmas of 1991. This and the female fragrance in the United States and over Europe as well. Hugely popular. It made so much money, it saved the entire house. Now, fragrance houses are a sideline for designer houses, right? Their main things are clothing, right? Calvin Klein makes a lot of clothes, a lot of jeans, but in the early 90s, that whole like 1980s vibe where the Calvin Klein jeans were like everything, that was dying fast, and this fragrance, along with the sister fragrance, Calvin Klein Eternity for Women, saved the entire house. That's how come I can say that this is one of the best citrus aromatics of all time. It really is a pleasant fragrance. And finally, we have Davidoff Cool Water. Hey, Dave. Cool Water's got a great story behind it. Pierre Bourdin is the perfumer here, and he worked for the House of Creed, and he was the main perfumer on Green Irish Tweed. Now, he had a big falling out with the house and left Creed to go to Davidoff. And what do you know? 3 years later, after he created Green Irish Tweed, Davidoff comes out with this, a much cheaper version of Green Irish Tweed. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that get really angry when I say, that this is similar. I understand this has no iris. You can't pick up the creaminess of the iris. But fundamentally, it's same perfumer. He was going for the same vibe. It is certainly very close on paper. You can tell the difference otherwise. But yeah, this is like Green Irish Tweed for the masses. This was probably the second most popular fragrance of the entire 1990s. Especially the summer fragrance. It is a really good fragrance. It doesn't have anything like the performance of Green Irish Tweed, but it's still, I would say, a good 4 or 5 hours, no problem in the summer. So anyway, there's no question that I am fed up to here with the attention-seeking nature of the modern internet. It's not just YouTube. It's Instagram. It's TikTok. Everything is attention. I am tired of it. And, it's bled into our fragrances as well. I think the younger generation, that's all they know is attention. And so that's one of the reasons why so many of the younger guys are wearing really, really loud fragrances. And then you've got the clone houses in the Middle East that have jumped in and jumped on that trend and are exploiting it. But I can't wait for things to die down and for some sanity to return. I know there are other people that feel the same way. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.